You're not going to put it on a microphone, are you? So I was trying to figure out if we use 2 cameras at once or 3 cameras at once, how are we getting the videos from one phone to the other?
Because when you send one, it's too long, you're saying?
Yeah.
You AirPlay send it, don't you?
And airdrop it?
Airdrop it.
You really think I can airdrop something that big?
I think that's the solution for big things. When you just message a big gigabyte thing, I think the solution, like when I have 50 photos I want to send Heather, if I just text them, it's undeliverable. If I airdrop them, it's like skipping a step, I thought it's
worth a try. I don't know. I mean,
because it's Apple to Apple. It's
yeah.
That's what I thought. I might be wrong. I'm sure there's a Googleable solution that's a really easy.
Apples to apples.
When you get what you want.
All right, so here's what I got. Dominic is talking baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So thoughts on that?
You know, I have a lot of kids. Mm-hmm. So one thing that I was always careful with was, as they were young, not just putting them in things to put them in things. Mm-hmm. And that was specifically because the cost, but more importantly, the commitment of now we've got this kid on this night, this kid on this night, this kid on this night. And we're doing all these things just to say we've done them, maybe to feel better as a parent about who we are than even as your kid having the experiences. So if the kids were interested in it, then it was like, for sure, let's give it a shot. And so my first memory was we put our twins, that are our oldest biological kids, put our twins in soccer. Mm-hmm. And it was like at a rec center. It wasn't at the YMCA. It wasn't anything official. It wasn't a traveling team or anything silly like that at that age. They were young. Let's just say 3, 4, 5, somewhere it was young.
I want to put Veda in gymnastics early.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And so, but it was more just like a dip your toe in the water type of thing, where they went just a few days for an hour, and the parents were there the whole time, and it was just learning the basics of soccer indoors. Even it wasn't like in a rec room.
It wasn't even an indoor soccer.
No, it was like tile
You've
floors.
Seen indoor soccer.
Yeah. It was like tile floors.
Yeah.
Some Wichita facility that was for the city. And so anyway, within 5 minutes of the first one, it was like this was too early. They didn't want to do it. They weren't interested in it. They were following along, but they didn't have the attention span yet. And they didn't have the desire to actually try it. It was more just like, my parents put me here, now I'm going to get in line. Mm-hmm. And the attention span was the biggest hurdle with that age. But yeah, I do, like, I grew up in a small town, right? So everybody played baseball, it seemed like, at least Pee Wee baseball. So I played Pee Wee baseball. I wasn't great, but I wasn't bad either. And it was like, that's just what you did.
So let's broaden the topic.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me tell you how I come at it. I come at it where I tell myself I take the amount of money we make per year, right? And I go, how do I apply it? I apply it to keep a roof over my kids' head, to have them go to school, right? To, pay for their food, their groceries.
Yeah.
That's what and then everything I can do to better my life and everything down the road. When I look at what I had this conversation with one of the other dads in football. When I look at what I spend, like for instance, I just put Desmond in a wrestling thing that was $250 $200 more than put him in Hayesville. It's not necessarily that I can or can't afford that. It's that I go, if I'm going to spend in a certain area, if I'm going to go, hey, I'll get the premium in that. Right? It's not going to be the better pack of turkey at the grocery store and it's not going to be the better car that I buy, hopefully. I'd rather spend on the premium for the sports for my kids, for the activities. Not really that, to an extent, if I'm spending. What I'm saying is, I tell my kids, like, I want them to be doing activities all the time. And if that costs me money, and on my bottom line, I got to cut something, I'm going to prioritize those activities above a lot of things. Because if I'm going to spend, like, that's an investment. Like if I'm going to spend money, I don't care if they didn't do it next season. I just invested in my kids. Like their life is a little bit fuller because they did something, right? As long as you're not pushing them to do something they don't want to do,
Right.
and other things surrounding it. So I talked to Dom last night. You know Dom, he's a little softer, my 8-year-old and my 6-year-old. He did soccer last year, and I've been trying to figure out what he wants to do. He's done with Boy Scouts, did that. So like I'm always on, like they understand, at least my 2 boys, Veda's soon to be, Liv is, that they're going to do activities. So I'm like, what are you going to do next? It was going to be karate, but his buddy is talking baseball, and we got him a baseball mitt for Christmas, which we opened up presents. So me and my dad over the last 2 days have just been playing baseball with him, and he loves it, wants a bat, watch YouTube, he immediately goes to YouTube, watch some baseball stuff, and he's like, I want to play baseball. I'm like, yes, I think that's perfect for you. But it's cool to see, wouldn't be perfect for my 6-year-old. And it's good to understand that, right? My 6-year-old would not be perfect for him. He would sit out in the outfield and, pull worms out of the ground like I would have done. Like I wouldn't have, baseball would not. So I would, if Des wanted to play baseball, I would talk him out of it. I would do everything I could to. So this isn't for you. It's good to understand that, I think, about your kids. And I think Dominic, baseball would be great for him. He doesn't want something that's full contact, he wouldn't wrestle. So we were talking about it last night. And I was talking to him about, hey, if we start doing this, he was saying, when would I do karate? I'm saying, well, you want to do football next year, right? So you do baseball, have a summer, then do, football, and then if you wanted to, when Desmond's doing wrestling in the wintertime, you could do karate. Explain to Desmond, you do football, wrestling, and then he's going to do soccer. Point being, I want my kids to be in stuff all the time, and I'll spend to do that, and I'll spend the time pushing them to do it. And I will tell them, if you don't want to do this, figure something else out. That's just, on top of that, I like the lifestyle. I like having, if I got something to do, like I feel like I'm the cool guy at school, because the thing I have to do is to go to my 6-year-old's wrestling thing. I feel like I'm walking a level above everybody else a little bit, as I'm, yeah, what do you have to do? Yeah, no, yeah, but my kids don't, I got this to do. My kids are in this and this, so here's what I got to do. And I'm having fun doing it. Like I'm going over to this tournament, I'm going to this practice, hanging out with these parents, and that's the cool club. And I like that. It's a good lifestyle.
Well, one thing that I've noticed about you in those scenarios, you dive right in and you're meeting people right away, you're talking to people, you're getting to know them, you're making friends. And I think that is a great thing that probably allows you to enjoy it just as much as your kids are enjoying it. Where I'm a little bit different, and when I'm in a new environment, especially if I'm not well versed in that environment, I'm more likely to walk in and be a wallflower.
Sure.
And sometimes I can't get out of that. I get stuck in that wallflower mode. Yeah. And I will be, years into one of my kids' activities, and I've yet to talk to one other parent.
The new guy.
And I'm sitting there going, what am I doing? This isn't my actual personality. I'd rather talk to people and rather get to know people. I have fun with that. Mm-hmm. But I've already kind of put my line in the sand where it said, I'm going to be the quiet dad. I'm not going to say anything or talk to anybody. And I've got some regrets with that, DL, I'll be honest with you. I wish I would have done that differently when my kids were younger.
Regrets as in socializing?
The way I handled it.
Let me socializing with the other parents would be a simple way of putting it?
Absolutely.
But you were a teacher. It wouldn't even have been networking back then for you. Just in a general sense of, you wish you socialized with the parents.
Just because, as you were saying,
it is a good lifestyle.
It would have made my time
it's
more
fulfilling.
Yeah, I would have been more involved, not just with what my kids were doing, but with what I was doing there as well.
I daydream a lot, and that's something people don't talk about a lot. What they daydream about, literally. But I'm just sitting last night daydreaming in a weird way about next season. Picture myself walking up to all the parents and saying, "We're having a barbecue. I got a keg coming to the house. Bring all the kids. I got a bouncy house. I'm inviting all the parents to get to my place for a whole Saturday afternoon, evening." Like, I would love to do stuff like that. Like, I love stuff like that. Like, you got a wrestling team, like being able to, it just adds a lot to your life.
That's amazing.
I love all the, and then.
I hope that dream comes true for you.
With it, I'll probably do it. Like, I visualize things and they happen.
And you attack.
It happens in this business, right?
And you attack.
That's for sure. So, sport-wise, that's what's in my head. The baseball thing is really cool because I'm playing catch with them.
Yeah.
I mean, playing catch football is one thing with your kids, but with a mitt and a mitt, there's no better classic. 8-year-old boy, mid on mitt, that's a classic.
I usually use my hand to throw.
You just go. So he started with trying to throw with the mitt, just so you know. He did it like twice. No, you don't throw.
Yeah. Let it slide for one or two, and then he said, "I gotta educate this kid." I guess you wouldn't know until you know. He probably never watched baseball before.
Not really.
Yeah. Were you ever a guy that watched baseball?
Who?
Like on TV? Oh, I know who they are. It's geographical. So if you have a major league city that you live in or around, like if we live closer to Kansas City, there'd be a better chance that we watch baseball.
Okay.
And if you were in a city that had more success in baseball, you would definitely be a baseball fan. Mm-hmm. Or even like a long history. So like the Cubs haven't had a ton of success. They won World Series in the last 100 years or whatever. But they've got a rabid fan base because Wrigley, so the stadium itself, but also all the things that go in with a long-suffering fan mindset of we're in this together. Somebody's got to support the Cubbies, that type of thing. So
The Cubbies.
yeah, so that's a big thing for baseball fans. So yeah, I think it probably is more geographical than anything. So we're out here in Wichita. Got a minor league team, new stadium here in Wichita. Have you been to the new stadium in Wichita for the baseball team?
I have not.
The
What
Wind
are they called?
Surge. The Wind Surge.
Wind Surge.
Wind Surge.
That's
It was a little controversial.
a terrible name.
Well, and here's the thing about minor league teams. They're affiliated with a major team. So a lot of minor league teams go out of their way to have a unique name.
That's kind of
That's, pushing the
Online.
envelope a little bit. Like this would never be okayed by a major. But for minors, we want to kind of make a name for ourselves, so to speak, by being outside the box. So at first I was hesitant. Wind Surge, like that's weird. But it's kind of fun. It's a little fun. But the stadium itself, they did a great job with that. Beautiful stadium.
I explained to you why I don't like Wind Surge.
Yes.
Just specifically, it's not just like I immediately can tell you, like, say, if you said 30 names, like you say 30, I don't want you to, but I kind of do, and I'll tell you immediately if I like it or I don't, because there's a simple qualifying factor about the name, so we'll say of the team that tells me if I like it or not. Wind Surge doesn't say another team name.
The Pilots.
Love it. Say another one.
Scorpions.
Love it. Say another one.
Doritos.
Love it. Say another one.
M&M's.
Love it, right? Why would I love all those and not love Wind Surge?
I don't know.
Because there's no the Wind Surges.
Oh, you can't make it plural.
What's the mascot?
So the Miami Heat bothers you?
Yeah, like who's the Heat?
Gotcha.
It's
The
like,
Magic bothers you?
dang right it does.
Gotcha.
Give me a
And
mascot.
I've heard people talk of such things before. That's a weird thing to do. Is
The whole
you
point
can't make
is
it plural.
You know, I said the team name. It's not team name. It's mascot. That's the terminology.
Now, and I don't know all the sports, but as far as this is concerned, but a lot of mascots look nothing like their actual team that they represent. Have nothing to do with it. KC Wolf for the Chiefs. Why would they have a wolf? I'm not sure.
Well, don't they have a chief too? Oh, they can't have a chief.
Probably not anymore. But Chief's like an honorable term, so that's why they haven't gotten that canceled yet. But no, I think you're right.
If they could have a chief, they'd have a chief. But if the Magic aren't going to have, the Magic should have a magician. Maybe they can get away with it, right? You know what I mean? But
so that was why. It wasn't because you couldn't make it plural. I thought you were saying it was because you couldn't make it plural. Because that's kind of controversial.
Listen, I need a mascot. That's what I'm getting at. So if you're the Magic and you show me a magician as your mascot, I'm gonna let your toe in the line.
I'm making fun of you if that's your mascot.
Your toe.
That's what I'm doing. You want to see a trick? No, I want to watch the ball game. Get out of my way.
Ooh!
No, I think
Merlin.
I think for me, I think why I came around on the Wind Surge was two things. One, I like the fact that it's two words and you could pick either word, pick your poison when you're cheering for them. Let's go Surge or let's go Wind. Now that's my second point.
There's a problem there.
No, that's my second point. I love the fact that you're cheering for something that's natural and you can't control it, and it's just going to do whatever it wants anyway. So if we just say, let's go Wind,
let's
I love that.
That's
Wind. That's so much fun. Let's go Wind.
And Wind.
Are you cheering on the Wind?
Just
yes, I am.
take the D off, and it's Win.
There you go. There's a win in Wind Surge.
There's a win in Win.
But regardless, great stadium. So Wichita, I'm sure we paid some extra taxes for it. That's how stadiums usually work.
What's a ticket cost?
But it
to
was
go
worth
sit
it.
in the front seat of a Windsor.
You know how much
game?
it cost me? $0 because a buddy of mine had tickets. And
Somebody.
Yeah, that's how much it costs. Is you got to be a good friend to someone, and they'll take good care of you. But
On average.
I have no idea because I've never been, other than when somebody else paid. Same thing for the Wichita Thunder. Great environment. I've never watched hockey in my life until I went to Thunder games recently, and a good friend of mine paid for those as well. So I haven't paid for any of these tickets. I don't know how much they cost. Don't know how much they cost. Now, let me ask you this. Speaking of sports, should we be Chiefs-Royals fans because they're in Kansas City just by default? If you're going to pick a team and you don't have any alliances, should you pick the one that's closest to you?
So I'm answering the question
Yeah.
by stepping back from
Yeah.
the question. So the first question to answer that question would be, let's do the Missouri thing. First of all, for anyone who doesn't
Yep.
know, Missouri, Kansas City is the only city, I believe, give or take
No,
some weird.
I'm sure it's not.
But it's the biggest city.
It's the one that comes to mind.
Most prominent that is in two states
Yeah.
at the same time. So
Yeah.
you could be in Kansas City, the mayor of Kansas City.
Well, I don't know how that
Go-
works. Yeah.
You see what I mean? But that's how I'm
I'm
thinking
assuming
of
there's
it.
a mayor of Kansas
The
City,
mayor-
Kansas, and a mayor of Kansas City, Missouri.
See, then there's two cities.
Right.
There's got to be some way where it's one city, or what I'm saying doesn't make sense,
I don't think it does.
right?
I don't
So
think
it's
you
not,
make sense.
It's not.
I don't know.
Kansas City, right, is Missouri and Kansas. The Royals are on the Kansas side. The Chiefs, no, I got this
They're
wrong.
both on the Missouri side.
They're both
Yeah.
on the Missouri side. So this is what I'm talking about. There's no other professional sports teams that are in the Kansas side of the Kansas City.
Nor should there be.
Explain, because I'm answering your question with why shouldn't there? So if they were in Kansas, we should be fans, or Missouri. You're basically asking, should we consider the fact that because if they were in Kansas, we wouldn't ask this question. This wouldn't even be a consideration. If we're in Wichita, we're in Kansas.
Well, it's
we
part
should
of my
be a
question,
Royals
though.
and Chiefs fan. That's my answer to that. If they're in Kansas, there's absolutely no question about it. Now, let me caveat that with I am a Royals and Chiefs fan, and they are in Missouri, Kansas City. So
Who's your favorite Royals player?
don't know. And the one with the. He's got the guy from
Yeah.
Costa Rica.
Uh-huh.
The guy that they pulled him up from the minors.
I'm going to write that down as a loss for you.
I'm telling you, I seen him on the thing. All right, what was I saying?
I don't know.
Interrupted me.
You were making up stuff, obviously.
I was making a
'cause you
point.
said you're a baseball fan.
Baseball. Well, I'm a Royals fan because my dad's a Royals fan. Same way I'm a Chiefs fan because my dad's Chiefs.
When's the last time you watched a Royals game?
2000.
What was the record last year?
2000. Dad took me to a Royals game
Last year?
when I was 8 years.
I've watched Royals games before, but I would never claim to be a Royals fan because I don't follow baseball.
But they're in Missouri, right? You would never be.
So that's my question. Take the Missouri thing off the table because
I want to leave it on the table.
Well, we're gonna take it off for now.
Okay.
What I want to ask is, if you're picking a team, should you default towards geographical? This is the closest team to me, so I'm
What
a
else
fan
would
of
you
that
default
team.
towards? Give me another factor you could default towards.
Well, I don't want to go too deep into this because I'll talk all day about it. But I'm an NBA fan. No NBA teams around here, but you could go to Oklahoma City in about the same amount of time or less time that it takes you to get to Kansas City, where there's not a team. But the Thunder should be better supported by Wichitans because they're the closest NBA
So your
team.
argument is you should let the
But
geographical
I'm saying,
thing decide.
no, I'm
for you.
saying the NBA is a players' league, and so I'm going to pick my team based on the players or player that I like the most, and that's going to be the team that I like, not where they're at.
So how do you?
But
pick,
if I lived in Oklahoma,
you don't have a choice.
or therefore in Oklahoma City, I would probably be a bigger Thunder fan just because I'm around it all the time. I'm hearing the noise. So I'm either going to go, I love the Thunder, or I hate the Thunder because I hear it all the time.
Do you have to live in the city? Do you have to live in the state? So if you live in the city, okay, you have to be a fan of that team.
Or you got to hate them because you're hearing it all the time. And you're like, oh, I hate the Thunder because
but
everybody's
you
talking about how much
you
they love
don't
the
get to
Thunder.
live.
You got to pick a side if you live there.
Yeah. You don't get to live in Miami, okay, and not be a fan of the Heat or be a fan of, you don't get to choose to just be a fan of anybody if you already live in Miami, is what I mean. If you live in Miami, you've got to, your emotional response to a team has got to start with your city's team.
Unless you lived somewhere previously.
Yeah, where you're from.
Take your allegiance with you.
Like, you need to, the precipice of your emotional response to these 30 teams, whatever sport in this league, has to be about your team. Whether that's a beginning of hating them, a connection to your family's history on that team and how you grew up going against them or whatever it is, it needs to be started with that team. Don't fake it. That's where you're from. Wear that chip on your shoulder on the left or the right side, for better or worse, right? So I think I can agree with that, and I'd say in the same state too. If you're from the state, your teams are your teams. Now, if you hate them or love them, have your emotional response. I agree with that. Now, you said you're a Chiefs and you can't ever be a Royals fan. That's what you said?
I said I wouldn't claim to be a Royals fan.
Just because
I could be, but I wouldn't claim to be because I don't watch the Royals. Because you have a choice.
But if they were on the Kansas side, you're saying we don't have a choice.
I would still not be a Royals fan because I still wouldn't watch baseball. If there was a professional baseball team in Wichita, then I might be more likely to watch baseball and cheer for the Royals.
Difference between being a fan of and rooting for.
Difference between telling the truth and lying. Right, I agree.
You think that's what I'm saying?
Absolutely. You're not a Royals fan. We just proved it.
There's a difference between being a fan and rooting for, right?
I agree.
I root for my hometown.
I
don't
agree.
need to be a fan of my hometown.
You're absolutely right with that. But that's not what we said. We said fan.
We never said fan.
Well, you might be right. We'll have to watch the tape and find out. But needless to say, I like the fact that there's emotions tied up in sports, going back full circle to what we talked about earlier. These are once-in-a-lifetime experiences for your kid, whether they're a fan, whether they're rooting for something, or whether they're actually participating either as your sons are in person and participating and active in that activity, or as a parent where you're involved in multiple ways, as you've really dove in head first to this. I've been impressed with that about you.
Sir.
Yeah. So I can't
it's
wait.
Fulfilling,
Now, do I get an invitation to the barbecue, even though I have nothing to do with? Because as we've already pointed out, I like to get free stuff.
Yeah. Do you understand the concept of working smarter, not harder?
No.
The concept of working smarter, not harder? Come on. You get the concept, all right? Track with me here. So if I was to not invite you to a big event with a lot of parents where I'm trying to impress people in my circle, that would be working harder, not smarter.
Okay.
Right? It would definitely benefit me to have you around in that situation. It would make no sense not to. And I'm not even starting to do the hard thing afterwards. That is just ice cold logic. I'd love to have you there, buddy. On the other side too, But that's just ice cold logic.
Gotcha.
On that side. It would just pure benefit to our lives, both of us. It wouldn't make any sense for you not to be there. And on top of that, it'd be nice to have you there. Bring your kids,
Yeah, but it's for the team. And they're not on the team. They're not on the team. So, hey, what we're going to do on our next episode is talk about the appropriate way to use a clip for a mic pack. We're going to get that covered so that way we don't struggle so much in the future with our mic packs. Simple clip. You do realize there's a clip on there, but maybe it broke off one of the times it fell on the ground. So, hey, we've gotten a lot of people that have emailed in and called in regards to Unjustified, and we just appreciate all the people excited about this podcast and what it's doing for the community. And be on the lookout. We're going to be in a locale near you, filming some episodes on location.
Might be tacos there, might be grilled cheese. Who knows, man? I might have a shrimp po' boy.
Grilled cheese, interesting.
Big fan.
Such a simple concept.
There's bacon on it, and you use the right bread, sourdough.
I don't even know what that is. That's a bacon sandwich, not a grilled cheese sandwich.
And you put protein. Too much white bread, cheese, just too much filling with not enough nutrients. Put some protein in it.
All right. I agree.
Shout out to Big Bacon.